Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Mbable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, Equinoxe Television rejects all allegations of manipulation and publication of false information in the DJOMO affair. We'll bring to you the content of a statement by the management of Equinoxe Television and Radio denouncing plans to tarnish the image of the #1 television channel in Cameroon. Also in this newscast, 2 persons are severely injured in a locally fabricated bomb explosion in Bonaberi, Douala for subdivision. Stay with us. Thank you once more for joining us on this edition of the news. We begin right away in the Douala 4 subdivision in Bonaberi, where a bomb explosion left 2 persons severely injured today. The locally fabricated bomb exploded, cutting off one of the legs of one of the 2 victims, and investigations have revealed that the victims are from the northwest region of the country's Manjik and Gabriel report.
It was a timid start of the day that was witnessed at the ride roundabout at the entrance leading to Benendale in the Douala 4 subdivision this Thursday. Wednesday night was a day they will never forget.
I was selling because we always sell in the night. So I just heard something explode. I thought that was one man that is selling soya. That maybe is a fireside that explode. So all of us were surprised. So the other people ran there. As they came back, they said that it's bomb that they put it there. So me, I ran also there. We saw the person that was passing. It was one man that was passing, that he carried back on his the back on his back. So as we tried to cross now, the thing exploded and cut his leg. Then the other one, he took by the eye.
The crime scene has been secured, but within it, stains of blood to show the gravity of what happened were still very visible. An inhabitant around the zone says it was a surprise to him.
I stayed there for more than 23 years for Rye.
For the 23 years I have stayed here at Ride Roundabout, such has never happened. We are surprised to get an explosion at 11 p.m. A man who was passing by the zone and another lady were severely injured.
Carried the hospital, then one woman too is take the eye too. So we'll be surprised, or we will not be surprised. We'll just wait to see how the end of the day.
Security was still tight at the time we left the zone. The explosion at Ride Roundabout is just the 5th in Cameroon, after 4 others that occurred in the country's political capital, precisely in Meleng, Mokolo, Damas Roundabout, and most recently in Sam.
2 members of the Cameroon Bar Association, 2 legal minds in detention at the judicial police here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, since yesterday over the standoff between lawyers and security and defense forces at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance. The standoff during which lawyers say they were attacked by security and defense forces. That was during the trial of some of their peers who were accused of corruption and contempt of court, and 2 lawyers, including Barrister Tamfu Richard, are now in detention over some charges raised indicating that they committed some crimes during that standoff at the Court of First Instance in Bonanjo, Douala 1 subdivision. Now the Cameroon Bar Association has made a statement condemning what is qualified as an attack on the legal profession in Cameroon. Take a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Before I go on, I would like to tell each and everyone that there were people who made a lot of noise when they saw that the Bar Association was represented in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is an institution of the Republic, and the Supreme Court is not made up of only magistrates. It's not a house of magistrates. So the bar, when it is invited by an institution like that, they have to respond to the institution. But that hasn't got anything to do with the position that the Bar Council has taken vis-a-vis the maltreatment that was meted on our colleagues. They said when the house is on flames, you do not rekindle the glowing splint. What happened in Douala 2 days ago is, in short, rekindling a glowing splint when the house is on flames. The house went on flames when our colleagues were arrested, tear gas beaten in a courtroom. Despite the securities, despite the guarantees and sureties they gave, justice was mute. We take cognizance of the resolutions of the Bar Council. They went in for moderation, because whether you like it or not, a matter is pending before the court, and we shall still go back to court. The Bar Council and the Bar Association cannot transform themselves into a court. If lawyers are abused, if lawyers are aggressed, if they are beaten up, where do we go? We go to the courts. So whatever decisions the Bar Council and the Bar Association are taking are for the primordial interest of lawyers. And as the Bar resolution said, they will reconvene on the 1st of December. We had a joint meeting. The Bureau of the General Assembly and the Bar Council had a meeting that resulted to the resolutions that were taken. And so we pray that we should be calm, make sure we bury the fallen hero, Barrister Chakute Patie Shah, in due form. He deserves that dignity. We bury him. We have that meeting on the 1st and see where we can go from there. This does not mitigate our position. And we think the institutions that are there will do well to admit our colleagues on bail, because they have provided even more than what the law demands. And so the last word is that our colleagues should be liberated, as the Bar President just said. We agree in toto that they should be liberated. There are people who are out, who have done worse things. There are people who have killed and they are out. Our colleagues still enjoy the sacrosanct principle of presumption of innocence. Why are they there? When their abbots are there, they are lawyers with chambers. But we pray for calm, and the rest will be handled. Thank you very much.
Barrister Mufo, President of the Cameroon Bar General Assembly, speaking there and voicing the stand of the Cameroon Bar Association, which is demanding for the liberation of the lawyers who have been in detention since yesterday. And a human rights lawyer, president and founder of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy, Barrister Agbo Felix Bongo Bala, has also condemned the arrest and detention of the lawyers, indicating in his statements that the country or the lawyers have recently sadly witnessed a rise in intimidation, threats and reprisals against lawyers in general, and those in particular working on human rights issues and politically sensitive issues. And to him, the arrest and detention of renowned human rights advocate Barrister Tamfung Richard and other colleagues is a clear indication that the government has no respect for the legal profession. And he goes further to say that this clearly shows a complete disregard and disdain thoughts lawyers to Barrister Abo Bala. Barrister Tamfu is a human rights crusader fighting against injustices for the protection and promotion of human rights in the country. He is an advocate for good governance and accountability, a staunch advocate, and of course a staunch advocate against the culture of impunity, a culture that is growing in Cameroon. And he ends by indicating that the state should respect and protect lawyers who promote and defend human rights defenders. That's a statement by Abo Bala, the president and founder of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy, a legal mind by profession and a human rights defender. Equinoxe Television and Radio rejects all allegations of manipulation and publication of false information, particularly in the case of DJOMO Stephanie Victoire, the lady who was arrested after she took part in the program Parole de Femme on Equinoxe Television and detained. She has been released on bail, and now Equinoxe Television has information indicating that she was tortured and compelled to accept and declare that all words she said during the program Parole de Femme were fake information. And we will be coming back to this, indicating that Equinoxe Television has never been, is not, and will never be manipulated for whatever purpose. And for me, Armstrong Sander is joining me with a statement by the management of Equinoxe Television. Good evening, for me, Armstrong Sander.
Good evening, Babla Jonathan, and good evening, viewers, millions of viewers in Cameroon, in Africa, and the world.
You have a statement by the management of Equinoxe Television and Radio concerning allegations of manipulation and the publication of false information.
Of course, Babla Jonathan, you are very right there. A statement just coming from the office of the director, president of the Equinoxe Group. I read it. Equinoxe Television learns with shock and indignation a stage of manipulated broadcast on a local radio channel this Thursday, November the 19th, 2020. Equinoxe Television reaffirms its release of the 10th of November 2020, in which it discredits the manipulation and counter-narrative of after the declaration of Madame DJOMO Stephanie during one of its programs on November the 3rd, 2020. Equinoxe Television is shocked that a media organ of public service will go so low and cheap in violating the elementaries of the journalism practice. Faithful to its professionalism, Equinoxe Television will be coming up with more facts in order to continue to uphold the light on this issue. Equinoxe Television has therefore chosen not to confront for now in order to maintain its honor and reputation, though it has the means and avenues to do so. Signed, the President, Director General of the Equinoxe Media Group, Babla Jonathan.
Thanks. For me, Armstrong Sander. Equinoxe Television denounces with the last energy all allegations, all plans to destabilize, to tarnish the image of the #1 television channel in the country. We shall be coming back to that. On to something else now. We take you to the opaque city of Limbe in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where our correspondent Davidson Maimo looks at the challenges that women are facing as a result of the ongoing 4-year-long armed conflict in the two English-speaking regions of the country. And he will be highlighting some efforts by some women leaders to assist women who have been adversely affected by the security situation there. His report.
Government, civil society and international organizations shows that gender-based violence against women, especially young women, is on the rise in Cameroon due to increase in crime waves precipitated by the ongoing Anglophone armed conflict, Boko Haram war in the north, and the prevailing security challenges in the east catapulted by rebels from Central African Republic.
Every day, young women are being involved in the crisis, whether you like it or not. If you are with the non-state armed groups, they say you're a traitor. We are with the stand-up groups, they say you're a traitor. So we are in between. We don't know what to do.
The recent killing and nude images of young secondary school girls that went viral on social media, alleged to be the handiwork of separatist fighters, is still fresh in our minds.
They disgrace or they take videos of it and show it on social media. We don't have a face as young women in the country. You have so many years to grow. How can you live with it?
Young women say the National Action Plan in Cameroon failed to give special consideration to women.
Which outcomes have shown that women have been involved? So we need that monitoring and evaluation process, the mechanism to evaluate.
This and more is the catalyst behind the coming together of these young women leaders of civil society drawn from the four corners of Cameroon with objective to advocate for the protection of women in general.
We want to come together so that our voices will be heard. The coalition of young women, and we need the government to put up strategies in which young women can be protected.
Taking place in Limbe, those from other regions attest they were afraid to be part of the gathering.
The crisis takes different phases at any time.
I was really afraid to come here.
It's the first time that I come to the southwest region of Cameroon, and so I was really afraid.
They appealed for peace to be achieved within the crisis-hit areas. The government of Cameroon should take into consideration their involvement.
Considering the fact that we have the numerical advantage, so if we are brought into the peace building process, it's going to facilitate the task and it's going to bring out peace is going to be quickly achieved in our community. So we think we can make a change because we are involved.
Solutions should come from us.
The 3 days workshop had as main activity to train young women mediators and the establishment of a national network.
Up next, Innocent Aze with military or civil or military activities intended to boost school attendance in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. His report.
Since escalation of the Anglophone crisis, students have been vulnerable. They are either abducted or killed by armed individuals in school. To ensure security of students in school like Government's Bilingual High School at Selangwen in the Bamenda 3 subdivision of the restive northwest region, during sports and physical education, usually out of campus, the Military Engineering Regiment decides to assist the school administration by launching this field project in front of the school that will serve as a multi-purpose sports complex for the students who have not been practicing sports and physical education effectively or practicing in fear for the past 4 years.
We are less than 1 month after the sad event we had in Kumba, so anything we can do to encourage the children to come to school, we will do it.
They just started a project. We are still going to fine-tune it. It is going to be a complete sports complex where you have handball, volleyball, and tennis. They are not taking a dime. So I'm very happy that they've done the work.
So because the main playground is found behind, far from the school compound and on the slope of the Atela Hill.
The old structure which is behind the school is a bit away from the school, and view the context. We deem it necessary to bring the students closer in a place where they will be very secure doing sports.
It is believed bringing the sports ground in front of the school will permit students practice sports and physical education without fear of being kidnapped by armed men who since start of the crisis have kidnapped at least 25 students of Government's Bilingual High School at Selangwen.
In the frame of the civil military action instructed by the General commanding the 5th Joint Military Region. The core of our action this time of crisis is the population, and we are really glad to give a playground to the children of the Government Bilingual High School at Tiela, because we want to encourage the principal and the staff to keep giving education to the children in this hard time.
Sports and other youth activities, which gradually died due to the crisis, are expected to revamp when the sports complex is fully realized.
In the report coming up next, we take a look at the problem of jungle justice. It is a problem that is fast gaining grounds in the Republic of Cameroon, and this has been attributed to what is qualified as the failure of the judicial system of the country. Details in the upcoming report.
A writer wants that jungle justice is rapidly gaining ground in Cameroon. Though punishable by the law of the land, many people are frequently seen taking the same laws into their hands. Cases of individual and collective crimes such as maiming and killing are recurrent. The author of a book on the problems of jungle justice, Pierre Boris Menunga, was inspired by one of such incidents of which he was an eyewitness. In 2012, I witnessed a barbaric scene. I asked myself what pushes people to actually behave in such a barbaric manner. The writer attributes the rising rate of mob justice in Cameroon to what he questions as failures of the judicial system. I decided to reflect on the questions as I went to Yaoundé and Douala and conducted investigations. Today, the result of those investigations is the publication of this book.
En réalité, on ne se rend pas justice.
There is an abuse of trust between institutional justice and the local population. According to Pierre Boris Menunga, the evocation and notion of mob justice alludes the absence and deficit of structural justice in Cameroon. There is a so-called popular justice system which seeks to compensate for the ideal of justice that the population expects from the structures which governs them. The author proposes a clever mix taking into account the socio-economic and political institutional aspects of popular justice in Cameroon.
Charles Kmer reporting the news out of the Republic of Cameroon. 3 persons have been killed in protests in Uganda. Protests over the arrest of musician and presidential hopeful Bobby Wine. The police said dozens of persons were injured in the protests. Katsi Euronews. Talking Point is up next. Barrister Kamwa Limen, member of the Cameroon Bar Association and the head of the Kamwa Limen law firm in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Mr. Babila.
We are receiving you at a time when your colleagues are still behind bars. Barrister Tamfu, Richard, and the others who were arrested and detained at the judicial police in Bonanjo. What's happening now?
Well, Mr. Babila, I must start by greeting my colleagues who are under detention, and I ask them to be the brave people they are. And it's true that I don't know the facts under which they were detained, but one thing for sure is that these are people who have a fixed residence. Their residence is known, and they can provide enough guarantees. So I keep asking why this war against lawyers, whereas there are people who could benefit from provisional liberty, to say bail. So I'm very worried, and Mr. Babila, it is not a good image for the judiciary in Cameroon. It is a very bad image we are trying to pass over to the international community. It's not good.
What has been violated in terms of procedures of arrest, detention, trial, whatever. What has been violated in this specific case? You said that the lawyers have a specific about, their residents are known here in Douala, they have chambers and so on. What has been violated here?
Well, Mr. Babila, to be honest with you, nothing has been violated. That is the point to make clearly, but that it is the bad law that gives the powers to the people who detain them to detain them. You understand? I know you'll be thinking that maybe their arrest, they could have done something. It is the law provides that they should be granted bail, but then goes further to say at the discretion of the legal, the judicial officer or the judicial police officer. So if the law was very clear on the fact that for misdemeanor, because whatever they have been accused of is misdemeanor, and if the law was categorical that they should be granted bail, I don't think anybody will go ahead to grant bail. So you see the Attorney General, the Procureur General, will tell you that is acting within the confines of his power, and the lawyers, we too believe that in that act, he could equally grant them bail because the law gives him the powers to use his discretion to grant this bail. Now, I think it is very important to note that they could treat, the Procureur General could treat this matter otherwise, because we need not go to where we are. We could, he knows he's in the legal profession like us. He should know that lawyers can be represented whenever whenever the need arises. So to me, I just think that he has not used his discretion positively to recognize the fact that lawyers are actors of the judiciary, and that inflicting any sanction against lawyer has a negative repercussion to the entire judiciary.
They have been arrested, according to information at our disposal, in connection to the protests or the what you qualified the other day as an attack on lawyers in the Bonanjo Court of First Instance, and the issues of disruption of order in the court, in the public institution, issues of destruction and things like that. Are these can this justify their arrest?
Mr. Babila, as I told you, the law provides that anybody who commits an offense can be arrested. That same law provides that people who are suspects, that they are still suspects because at the police station, judicial police station, could be granted bail. But that bail equally depends at the discretion of the judicial boss. And to me, what I'm saying in essence is, even if the law gives him the powers to do it, the law actually gives him the power to do it, but the law equally gives him that power not to do it. So why choose doing it when you could not do it and ask for enough guarantees which the lawyers already provide? It is not good, as I said, Mr. Babila. It is a terrible thing to happen that at one side you have magistrates and the other side you have lawyers who are meant to work in synergy to bring out true justice, and today we find that lawyers are being molested or deprived of some rights that they ought to have enjoyed by the counterparts, the legal department. It's not correct.
Barrister Agbo Bala says that the arrest and detention of renowned human rights advocate Barrister Tamfu Richard and other colleagues is a clear indication that the government has no respect for the legal profession.
I agree with him. I agree with him. Because if they had, and I'm calling on the Minister of Justice, we are all under the Ministry of Justice, and we are all actors in that ministry. The minister should come up and try to put a stop to this, because it can lead to chain reaction. We don't need that in this country. We need a strong judiciary. We need a judiciary where the people, the community, the citizens respect and fear the judiciary. That is what we need. And so to me, Agbo Bala is right, because the state would not have allowed that to happen. The state would not have allowed it to happen because they are still suspects and they benefit from the presumption of innocence. And therefore, they would have been given that consideration. They should consider that these people are professionals like themselves and grant them bail. They need not be there. Nothing stops, if they're not there and they wish to bring the matter to court, nothing stops them from coming to the courts.
What can possibly explain what some legal minds qualify as disregard for lawyers? Disregard for lawyers, which is said to be increasing in recent times with all the happenings in the beginning, even from the early hours of the 4-year-long armed conflict in the northwest region, when lawyers were flocked on the street, some flocked in their offices, and coming up to the recent happenings at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance, and now some of the lawyers who are under detention. What can possibly explain this increase in disregard for the legal profession?
Well, Mr. Babila, I think it's all about intimidation. Nothing explains better than that. You want to intimidate the lawyers so they don't speak. You want to, there's something I will tell you. I heard in passing that there are already accusations that the lawyers who acted in court were MRC. They were lawyers sponsored by MRC, which is not true. You see, so I just think the whole thing boils down to intimidation to make people fear, but you don't intimidate a lawyer. You don't intimidate a lawyer. Mr. Babila, nobody intimidates me. You don't intimidate lawyers. We are lawyers and we are defense counsel, and we protect the rights of the citizens. I had this experience. I was at the airport 2 days ago. Some group of men who recognized me came up and they were saying, they were just laughing that they arrested a lawyer and what. I told them that it is good for you to start crying, because if that could be done to the only person that the law has given as your defense, the lawyer is the only person the law has given citizens as the defense counsel. The state counsel is a counsel is there for the state. That's why it's called state counsel. The judge is there to appreciate the facts and take his decision. The only person who is there for the citizen is a lawyer. And when the lawyer who should protect you is being maltreated and you think it's funny, it's wrong. You should rather cry, because that's the only person the law has given you. The only person that the law has given the society is a lawyer.
And Barrister Abobala in his statement highlights the point that those who are more targeted in what some of you describe as an attack on the legal profession are human rights lawyers and those who are working on politically sensitive issues.
Yes, if you see the people who have been arrested, I think all lawyers, first of all, every lawyer is a human rights activist. Every lawyer by their profession. A lawyer will not see a violation of human rights, and so all lawyers to me are human rights activists. You see, so if Mr. Babila, this is creating a terrible impression about the rule of law in Cameroon. When you attack lawyers, foreign investors who are coming into this country are brought in by lawyers, not the magistrates. Because it is the lawyer who does the registration of his company, it's a lawyer who protects his interests. And if the state has no respect for the lawyers, how then do you attract foreign investors to the country? It is bad. And as I said, I'm calling on the Minister of Justice, who is a magistrate, to come in at this point and put an order. Because it is just surprising that it's a new team, the new team of magistrates that came in, that we see this kind of things erupting in Douala. Is not fine.
The Bar Council is demanding for their release.
They should go further than that, not simply demanding for their release. The Bar Council should go further than that. That is my opinion.
They should go further. What should they do beyond what they have already done?
Mr. Babila, I don't think a lawyer is comfortable going to court with colleagues in cell. I don't think any lawyer is comfortable with that. So, what I'm afraid is that it might cause what they call floodgates. Floodgates is that if all lawyers decide now, if all the lawyers decide to move on, will you lock all the lawyers? You'll not detain all the lawyers. So, why starting something that you know will bring problem? I was informed that lawyers have been going to Bonanjo to see Barrister Tanfu, and they are not given access. It is wrong. Why are they not granted giving access? Because they know for sure that many lawyers will come.
His relatives too.
Yes, it is. Mr. Babila, is a situation to laugh at, to really mock at. Those who take such a decisions need to rethink properly. It is unfair.
What could be the impact of such happenings on the judicial system, or the trust that the people have for the judicial system? We had a report in this newscast where a writer was attributing the increasing rate of jungle justice in the Cameroonian society to what is qualified as the failures of the judicial system. Distrust.
Yes, Mr. Babila, you see, the main actors in the judiciary are in loggerheads now, the lawyers and the magistrates. And the citizen feels very, very unprotected, does not trust the law. There's mistrust to lawyers, mistrust to the judges. And therefore, what the result will be jungle justice. People will say, no, I don't want me to go here because if I take my lawyer, I'll go there, they'll embarrass him. I don't want to go meet to the judge because I need to be defended. It leads to jungle justice. And look, if there is something we have to preserve, we have to preserve the judiciary. It is very, very important. I spoke to some policemen and some gendarmes who are of the opinion that honestly they don't even like what is happening. That it is not fair that they are keeping in their custody the lawyers. It is not fair to them. So I am appealing to the Attorney General, the Procureur General, that he should be more considerate and look at the facts and see that those lawyers could be granted bail.
Whatever the case, it should be noted that jungle justice is punishable by the law in Cameroon.
When majority of people go on jungle justice, will be punished. The law is meant to contain situations. If everybody decides that, okay, instead of going to court, let us do jungle, well, how many people you will lock? You know that we don't even have enough space in the cells or the prisons
are overcrowded.
So, but if you are working for the interest of the population, you should instead avoid that. They don't get to have jungle justice and increase the number of people who are being remanded in custody.
All right, Barrister Kamwa Limen, member of the Cameroon Bar Association and head of the Kamwa Limen law firm here in Douala. Thank you for joining us today.
It's always a pleasure, Mr. Babila.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinoxe is up next.